All right, so I am Dr. Leftwich, and we're going to be talking today about communication tasks. So in W200, we like to talk about the 5 different tasks that technology can help you with as a teacher. So we talked already about content exploration tasks, and those would be, again, tasks that expose your students to new information or new knowledge, and this can be through videos or media, various images, sometimes PowerPoint presentations, whatever it may be, in order to share with them new things and new ideas, new concepts, even reviewing information. The next thing that we talked about this past week was production tasks. And so technology can help in a wide range of ways here because students can use all sorts of different apps and engaging websites and things in order to create to showcase really what they know on a particular topic. So this can be something that makes it more engaging than just a worksheet or an essay. It makes it so that they actually have to think about it and provide metaphors and understanding. So if a student makes a video and has to illustrate what they're actually talking about, this can sometimes showcase their knowledge even better than maybe the worksheet or the tests may be able to do. The task that we're going to be talking about this week is communication tasks, and teachers have to use have to communicate with a wide range of people. And so we're going to talk about how technology can help with that. But first, let's talk about your students. And your students can use technology in order to connect with a lot of different people as well as you. So both you and your students need to communicate with their parents and tell them what's going on. So I've seen different teachers actually publish various links to tutorials that they've created to show them, here's how we're approaching math problems, especially maybe mnemonic devices that you're covering. These are all really great things to share with parents. The next thing is helping students connect with other teachers, and obviously teachers connecting with other teachers too, but so that students can say, hey, I really don't understand this problem. Some of your instructors may use Remind. I think that this is a fantastic app. And one of the great things about Remind is you can say, allow students to contact me via chat through the Remind app, but you can limit the hours. So let's say when I get home from work, for example, I have 3 small children, and I don't want to have to be answering different chat messages between 5 and 7, but maybe then between 7 and 9, that's okay for me. So you can actually set it up so the different hours that you want, you can have communication with your students. And it's through a Remind app, so they don't have your cell phone number. So that's, again, something that's really appealing for parents, teachers, and students. The ability for students to communicate with other students. So this is critical and important. I know a lot of students have established Facebook groups or contact their peers via Facebook or even text message to say, hey, what was the homework assignment, or how do I do this? I even know some students that have done Google Hangouts or FaceTime chats in order to kind of walk each other through different homework assignments or work together to collaborate on particular assignments. And then the last one being experts. So if you want to contact a local museum expert or even your librarian, so IU has a really great feature with their libraries that you can actually go online and chat with a librarian. So you can ask them different questions about where to find different sources or how to access things, or even like UITs. So these are some great tools that we have with technology that help us communicate a little bit easier. So all of these communication tools with technology can really help with the exploration of knowledge and really expand the walls of the classroom. So it's not just you and your students. It allows you to do things after school. It allows you to connect with the community, with parents, and even with experts in that particular area. So the first example that I want to share with you is Google Hangouts. It's virtual field trips basically, and it's connected classrooms with Google. So these are just some examples of the Google Plus community, and you'll notice that as I scroll down here, there are lots of different opportunities for you to engage in virtual field trips with your students. So here they are. This particular one is going to talk about the natural wonders of Southeast Mexico, and it gives you the dates March 16th, 17th, and 18th. So you can kind of go through, and as these different announcements come up, then you can add those to your calendar. So here's another example about the Pacific Ocean, and join us on Thursday. So sometimes it's, a few days in advance. Sometimes it is a month or so in advance. And then there are others that are here there are actual teachers that they're looking for experts to connect with them. And then sometimes, here's this one. I have a 7th grade classroom looking to connect with Civil War reenactors or any type of Civil War related VFTs, any suggestions. And so you can actually see all these different comments here. So here's a person that you can contact. Here's a list of reenactor groups. So these are all potential options for you to expand the walls of your classroom. This is one other example I want to share with you. So this is Steve Auslander. He is a 5th grade teacher at Allisonville Elementary up in Washington Township in Indiana. And what he does with his students is he shares a lot on his Twitter website. And this is an example from his classroom where he has a wall of Twitter love. So as other people retweet what students are doing or say, hey, I really love what you are doing, or sharing different things, then he puts this up on his wall, and his students get really excited that other teachers or other students or other community members are saying, hey, I really like what you've done here. This is really amazing. He had one particular student that was posting something about Star Wars, and it got picked up by a lot of people. And so you can see the different people that have already retweeted some of his ideas. And this tends to make it really relevant to his students. So let's go back to some more examples of how we can use communication tools in the classroom. And communication tools, just like a lot of our other tools, can be combined with other tasks. So a lot of times with content exploration tools, you'll actually assign students to read a website or watch a video, and then you'll have them do a production task, which is actually create something, like they create their own video or they create their own PowerPoint based on the knowledge that they gained from that particular experience, that content exploration experience. So this is an example of some different communication tasks. So here's a science example where students actually work with other students in other parts of the country or countries to determine the acidity of rain. And then they create a wiki page to present their findings. So there was actually a student group, a high school biology teacher up in Mishawaka, Indiana, that had students create or capture different water samples in their area. And they created a Google map together. They collaborated on a Google map together in order to kind of share, all right, here are the results in this one particular area, and here are the results in this other area. Why is it so much lower? Why is the water quality so much lower in this rural area as opposed to, in the city? And so this led to a really great engaging explanation and a really great engaging lesson that they kind of looked into. And then another example here is a math group. And what they did is they tried to provide a description of how they mathematically determined the speed angle of an incline necessary to jump a skateboard a specific distance. So they collaborated together to provide written steps and included a video or image. And this is a video that I'd like you to click on the link and watch this video. It's a really short video, but it has teachers and administrators talking about how they use Google Docs in their classrooms and why they think it's so important. So I'm going to give you a few seconds to click on that link, go to the video, and listen for some of the different ways in which teachers are using Google Docs. Okay, so now that you've kind of seen some different examples of teachers and how they're using Google Docs and how they're using technology to help them collaborate, I want to briefly go over some different kinds of communication that technology can help support. So the first one is basic communication patterns. So for example, with technology, you can communicate in a one-to-one basis, and this might be where you're working with an individual student that maybe was sick that day, and so you want to record a video for them, or you're communicating via email on what they can do to kind of catch up. One-to-many, the podcast that I'm doing right now would be an example because it's one teacher or one person that's communicating with many of your students. So a flipped classroom would be one of the examples in which you would do this, where you would record a video and many of your students, maybe even parents, would watch the video. And then lastly, many-to-many would be another example. So that would be this example here of the science students, maybe the Mishawaka teacher example, biology example, where they collected samples and they all posted it on the map so they could all look at each other's results. The next kind of communication is interactions, and so you can do synchronous interactions, which would be, for example, like Google Hangout or FaceTime if you're talking with a colleague. So that would be an example of synchronous, and I always like to think of it as synchronize your watches or synchronize swimming. It's happening at the same time. Whereas asynchronous means that you're doing things at different times. So email is a great example of asynchronous communication. So if you're emailing a teacher or if you're emailing a parent, then that could obviously be a little bit delayed. But there are also advantages of that in terms of the time difference. It allows you to think about things a little bit more before you respond right away. Next is the teacher-to-student or student-to-student interactions. I think that this is fairly self-explanatory. Media, again, fairly self-explanatory. You can use text in order to just maybe do a Google Doc to communicate back and forth and write an essay together, or how you'll be using your service learning proposal if you're working in groups. Audio examples, so recording your voice. So for example, VoiceThread might be one example of this where you're recording the audio, or Google Voice would be another great example, communicating back and forth. Images, using images to communicate, so Instagram, obviously those types of images, or Flickr, posting those. Video would be the next example of communicating back and forth, so again, FaceTime, Google Hangouts, Skype, all of these are potential options here. And lastly, animation, so having some kind of simulation or online website that shows something that's a little bit more complex. So lastly, what kind of communication tasks can technology help with? Well, the first one is community building communication. And so with all the different technology tools out there with FaceTime and Twitter and email and phone calls and Remind, so schools and districts have developed their own Twitter accounts. So this is an example of a local elementary school here in Bloomington, Lakeview Elementary. And all of their teachers tweet out different things that they've done or that they're proud of. So here's a 5th grade teacher's example of her students' video on the American Revolution. Here's another teacher's example where they're doing a word problem discussion. Another 3rd grade classroom that's doing multi-step word problems in their math notebooks. So it provides you with a better understanding of what the community is like and what they're doing in their classrooms throughout this. And as parents subscribe to this, they can tweet back, and it's just a really great sharing organization. The next example that I want to share with you is cooperative and collaborative learning, and this can be between students and students, teachers and students, and even experts and students. So I have 2 examples to share with you on this one. The first one being ePals, and ePals is great because you can actually filter through here, get your students' age range, the languages that you want to speak, the subjects that you're interested in. I'm going to provide this link in the video as well so that you can click on it and explore. But let's say that you're in 5th grade and you're teaching the American Revolution. So here is an example here. So Andy B is working with other 5th grade age students. And so it might be really interesting to say, hey, what have you kind of examined from England's side of the American Revolution? You might have a conversation back and forth about that. So you can contact them, maybe even doing individual exchanges that way. The other example that I want to share with you is Figment, and this is a really great writing collaboration site. I'll provide a link to this as well, but I want to play this video.
There was a girl named Kira, whose English teacher
to share this website and show you kind of how they do collaboration within their writing.
Yep, that was her name, set up a private group on Figment so that her students could upload writing to the site and share and comment on each other's pieces even when they weren't in school. Miss Amazing called it a virtual writer's workshop. Kira called it really cool. First, Kira and her classmates had to create Figment profiles. Though Figment was a safe, moderated community, Kira and her classmates opted to go with interesting pseudonyms as usernames. Kira chose Atticus, because one day she hoped to be a civil rights lawyer. Once she had her profile set up, Kira searched for her class group, the Amazing Author Brigade, aka 3rd period 10th grade English. She requested access, and voila! Kira was officially an Amazing Author Brigader. Under group details, Miss Amazing welcomed her class to their new writerly home and explained that she would be using the discussion function to keep the class up to date on new assignments. Their first mission, should they choose to accept it, a short story told in their favorite genre with a flawed person of power as the protagonist. After trying her hand at some warm-up story starters that Miss Amazing had posted on group discussions, Kira had an idea. She clicked on My Writing, then Create Something New, and then she was off to the races. Woohoo! With a penchant for personification, Kira dreamed up a science fiction detective story about a PI Hydrockatu hybrid, whom she named Harry. When she started the story, Kira typed right there on the site.
So anyways, what this allows you to do is this allows you, the students, to comment back and forth and collaborate on writing. If you are a secondary English teacher, I highly recommend that you check out this website for more. So that's all I have to kind of present to you. The online classes and learning, we're going to target that a lot more toward the end of the semester, and we'll be providing you with more examples that you can use. But for now, go ahead and answer the questions in the class prep and get ready for an exciting week of communication tools.